pleasure to have you part of the series. I know a lot of people are aware of Howden and your business and what you do, but for the sake of the video, do you mind just giving us a bit of an overview of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Ross Shuster, and I have the privilege of being the CEO of Howden Group. And a little bit on Howden for those of you who don't know about the company. So Howden is a global leader in air and gas handling. And that must seem like a bit of a broad description. And it is really because we are a broad company. We serve a broad range of industries and serve a broad range of applications. In mining, as an example, we're the global leader in ventilating deep mines, like those mines that mine the type of metals necessary for electrification. In our infrastructure segment, among other things, we have a strong position in aeration for wastewater treatment. And then our industrial segment serves a wide variety of industries where we enable our customers' processes and also help decarbonize them. I think notable in that segment is our contributions to green steel, as well as our efforts around carbon capture. And then lastly, our largest segment is energy and renewables. And this ranges from traditional energy plants through to renewables, including biomass, nuclear, and of course, our fastest growing segment, which is renewable hydrogen. And it's kind of ironic that hydrogen is our fastest growing segment because as a company, we developed hydrogen compressors over 100 years ago. In fact, we were the first company to compress hydrogen.
Oh, fantastic. And that rolls into the first question I have, really. You mentioned you've been into hydrogen for 100 years, but for the past, I'd say 24 months, we've seen a lot of hype regarding the sector. But what role do you see in hydrogen ultimately playing in reaching our net zero targets?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, obviously, as I mentioned, we've been involved with hydrogen compression and hydrogen for 100 years. When you think about more specifically renewable hydrogen, it's really changed. If you look at where we are today versus where the challenges and where we were 3 or 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, hydrogen was I think renewable hydrogen was fighting for acceptance. Today, it's clearly seen as one part, and I emphasize one part of a solution to get to net zero. And at Howden, we have a great vantage point as we play in a lot of areas, as I mentioned. So we see progress in areas like small modular reactors. We see progress in areas like electrification and carbon capture and other technologies, which we believe will also have a role in getting to net zero. But I think the interesting part about renewable hydrogen is that it can be applied so broadly, right? You see it in mobility with fuel cells. You see it taking a role in transportation fuels with e-methane and sustainable fuels for marine and aviation. We see it gaining a lot of traction in industrial applications like green steel. You see it in grid balancing, you see it in heating. And so it just plays so broadly. And I think that's why it's going to have a very significant role in the world's drive to net zero and decarbonization. But again, apart, because there's other technologies I think will fill other gaps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that rolls into the next question I have, really. Obviously, there's been a lot of investment, partnerships, MOUs, Howden and Raven with the very recent announcement, but the positives are there. But in your opinion, what are the challenges that we need to overcome as a sector?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that question. I think, one is the challenges, and I'll take that on first. I think the challenges have quickly evolved over the last 3 or 4 years. As I mentioned, you went back to 2018, 2019, renewable hydrogen was really, battling to be a credible part of the net zero solution. Today, amazingly, it's a completely different situation. Today, it's more about managing the demand of projects and, frankly, meeting the expectations for the speed of projects, which are very much linked. And I think a couple of things have changed over the last 3 or 4 years. It's like the world woke up from the pandemic and the drive to get to net zero, the urgency around climate change just accelerated. Specific to renewable hydrogen, the cost produced renewable energies started to come into par with traditional energy, and linked to that was technology advancements. So there's a lot of projects. We spend a lot of time evaluating which ones have the most promise, because again, it is about meeting the demand that's out there, and that does mean a little bit about being selective. But I think that also takes us to the partnerships. And you see a lot of partnerships starting to form. We've done some. I know you've talked to Matt from Raven SR. We have a partnership cooperation agreement with them. I know you've talked to Jill from Chart Industries, and we've got a partnership agreement with them. And these partnerships are not just a piece of paper. They go well beyond that, that they're real, and they're really driving projects. And I think more importantly, helping the industry move faster. You think about the type of cooperation that can come when we're taking our products and inserting them in Raven SR packages or Chart Industries packages. It enables us to drive speed. It enables us to look for cost efficiencies. And very importantly, it also enables us to look jointly together for innovation. And I think in an industry, in a segment that's evolving so quickly, those MOUs and partnerships play an incredible role.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a very much a partnership landscape at the moment. Everyone's driving towards that same goal. And that ties in nicely to the last question, really. I know you've mentioned briefly, but in terms of Howden, how will your business enable the value chain as we move forward?
Yeah, great question. I mean, arguably, compression and/or liquefaction of hydrogen is one of the most critical parts of the hydrogen value chain. And I like to say that we play in a very enviable place in the hydrogen value chain within Howden. Mm-hmm. And a couple of reasons for that, because we play across a wide spectrum of end uses. I mentioned some before, but we've been involved in the world's largest refueling station, so mobility. We've been involved in the first climate neutral e-fuels plant in South America, so aviation fuels. We've been involved in Europe's largest biofuel project. We've been involved in green steel projects. So we see all the end uses. But in addition to that, we're agnostic to electrolyzer technology. We're agnostic to the debate that goes on around transportation in form of gas or transportation in form of liquefaction, because we play in both of those. Yeah. We play in gas compression, we play in liquefaction. So we sit in a great role to be able to see the entire hydrogen value chain evolve, which makes us play an important role because, again, we can help evaluate different options, different solutions, and most importantly, help our customers just advance the hydrogen economy and advance the overall effort to get the world to net zero. Exciting time for hydrogen. I think exciting time for the world as well. It's a really different world than it was 3 or 4 years ago with the progress that we're all making towards net zero.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been watching the business closely, Ross, and it seems like a super exciting time. So, as I said, pleasure to have you part of the series, and we wish you the best for the end of the year.
Thank you much, George. Very much appreciated.
Thanks, Ross.
Take care.